Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We are going to talk about a short-term bearish and also a short-term bullish scenario. Yeah, just that you're prepared in case something breaks that shouldn't break. So let's take a look at that. So overall, here on the Bitcoin chart, the idea is, as I already explained yesterday, that with the high, which was made on the 13th of July, a wave 1 finished. So we're counting the current move down as beginning of a wave 2. That would typically unfold as an ABC structure. A wave, B wave, C wave. I'm watching for this yellow support area as the area in which price should turn around to rally in a third wave afterwards to possibly $40,000 plus. So that's been our plan for many months actually. So let's see if we get there. But obviously it needs to turn around before breaking 26,280. At the moment, it looks like this wave 2 has started. There are a few ways how this could have unfolded. My primary scenario is that wave 1 finished on the 13th of July. So a 5-wave move up, fulfilled our minimum expectations. And we are now coming down in this wave 2 and it would be an ABC structure. In an alternative wave count, and that would be just a different way of looking at it, but it would also lead to a further drop, is if I'm taking the alternative wave count here. Yeah, and in this wave count, I would say, okay, we came down in an A wave. We had an overshooting B wave, basically looking at a flat structure here. And this is now a C wave to the downside. So that instead of the A wave, we're already in the C wave. But in both scenarios, we are basically in a wave 2. So A wave, B wave, C wave. In this case, we would, when we turn around in this area, not have another up and down, but instead we could go more directly. These are the two scenarios, which are basically one scenario. It's just a different way of labeling the wave 2. So I would not personally see them as different scenarios. They are just basically one scenario, just different ways of labeling a wave 2, and it will have an impact down here in the support area, to keep it simple. So this is basically the scenario that we're now in a wave 2, but we're also talking now about, on the lower time frame, about the levels that, if broken to the upside, will force a different interpretation, which would then be the short-term bullish one. So this was the short-term bearish scenario in which price should go down lower, and we've got support at 29,150, 28,314, 27,475 and 26,282. For me, I think it should end somewhere between the 50% retracement and the 29th and the 38.2 retracement. So and bear in mind, even though this is short-term bearish, Bitcoin is set up for a rally to 40K, in this larger setup, but the condition is that the 26,280 level is holding. So this pullback is very relevant and could be the stress test. It looks like we're developing some kind of a bear flag here at the moment, so I'm in favor for a trend continuation, but of course it's again another wave 4 weekend as it seems. Even though this wave 4 is starting to get quite long time-wise, but hey, you know, it's Saturday. Typically, we are looking at a wave 4 on a weekend. But not saying we couldn't get a drop today, because this is otherwise starting to get quite long. Okay, so this is now the 1 hour chart. So we have labeled the subwaves here. Let me move. So we have on this chart, since this top yesterday, a second. Where's the, here. So since the wave 1 top, we have started to come down in what I have counted as a 1-2-1-2 setup. Now a third wave down. That reached the minimum expectations. So actually it fulfilled more than that. It actually reached an extension target for the third wave. Basically we arrived at the 2.618 extension. That's a common target for a third wave. So I'm in favor of the idea that this is an impulse to the downside now, which should unfold further. In this impulse to the downside, we are most likely now experiencing a pullback in a wave 4. So it's just a corrective pullback in a downtrend. continuation would be expected. Typical targets for a fourth wave are 30,275. No, it broke above that, but that's only the absolute minimum expectation. A 38.2 fib level at 30,484. That's the ideal target. And the 50% fib level at 30,650. If it goes substantially above that level, then I think we're dealing with something different. I have to look at the wave count again. That would then be short-term bullish. So the short-term bullish, but that's exactly why we use these fib levels and why we use Elliott Wave, because Elliott Wave tells us when we need to change our view. So I would personally have to change my view if 30,650 is breaking to the upside. Yeah, don't think this has to happen to the downside. What we're simply doing is we're looking at a pattern. Yeah, we're looking at a structure. It could even be something as simple as a trend line, but obviously this is Elliott Wave. But just think of it as a pattern. And if the pattern breaks out into the wrong direction, then even though it's not that likely, it's not impossible. So that's why Elliott Wave gives us the levels that, if broken, force a different interpretation of the chart. And if we have a sustained break above the 50% fib level, then I cannot count that as a wave 4 anymore. Well, look, as per original Elliott Wave rules, the wave 4 can go all the way up to the end of the wave 1. But is this still a likely wave 4? Not really. What it then still could be is another 1-2 setup. That would probably be the next interpretation, to be honest, as long as we stay below the wave 2 high. But is it likely? Not at this stage. 3-1-2 setups are not really too likely. It would be very bearish. Yeah. But yeah, that would be another interpretation. Or even, and you can't rule that out, that we're dealing here with a WXY structure on the downside. Yeah, then this is some kind of a, maybe even a B wave, and they can extend a bit higher. So, but this is at the moment likely that this is a wave 4. And one more wave down and a 5. And that would be a wave 5 of 3, then a 4 and a 5. Doesn't necessarily need to come down that much. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a wave 4 play out here over the weekend. Let's see. Again, these counts can always change on the lower time frames, especially. So let me, for example, if it let's say it develops to something different. I don't know. It could be a WXY structure, so that we had a WXY maybe. Yeah, because we have 3 waves down, so it could be a W. X, and that X wave can of course go a bit higher. Wouldn't even be surprised in such a crazy situation in which we are at the moment. And then a Y. See, that wouldn't affect the idea that we're in a wave 2 at all, but it would just on the shorter time frame lead to some distortions. And you can recognize those distortions when you know that, okay, I've got the levels through the analysis. Price breaks above it, something different is going on. But that's not the expectation at the moment. We can only analyze what we see. Everything could happen, but we are focusing on what should happen. Yeah, and that's my update about Bitcoin. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.